Hello, everyone. Giuseppe here. Sorry for the delay. Amgad is having some small technical issues, but hopefully very, very soon he's going to be able to join. Well, we can see him, but we cannot hear him, which is not good. Hello, Amgad. In the meantime, there are already few people who has joined. So if you guys want to start writing in the chat box where you are calling us from, so at least we know more or less with the geography of the people. And then, as I said, in a few minutes, hopefully Amjad can sort out his technical issues, and then we can kick this one off properly. Okay, so nice to see a few familiar names. Hi, Christina. Hi, Luisa. Hey, Annie. Well, Sambak. Good. Excellent.
Hello.
Oh, we can hear you. Nice to have you here.
Hi, everyone.
So we got few people already in. Annie from Sambak, Luisa from Brighton. We start again with your group of, followers in Brighton. And then Nisha. Hello, Nisha. Where are you calling us from? Another Brighton, Karim. Hello. Brilliant. Liam from St. Albans. Oh, Nisha from Milton Keynes. Good. The person I learned everything about rent to rent was from or is from Milton Keynes. So I remember that place with a big smile. That's where everything started. Excellent. Let's wait another couple of minutes so we give people a little bit of time to join, and then we kick this one off. We've got a huge amount of content to share, so hopefully we will not overrun as we usually do. But
well, actually, we said 5 top tips, but
yeah,
we've actually have a lot more for you guys today, so it will be really informative.
Yeah, excellent.
Good. Can I just please also remind everyone, if you haven't been with us in the past, if you have any questions and answers that need answering, if you click on the Q&A button at the top next to the chat and just put your questions down there, and at the end of the event, we'll go through the questions and answer any questions you may have.
Excellent. And also, just to give us a kind of feeling on who we are talking with, if you guys want to write, if you are more specialized in SA or in HMO, or maybe you have not even started, or both of them, because as you will hear soon, Amjad and now we did both of them at one point. And so if you want to write again in the chat what you specialize in, and so again, it allows us to tailor a little bit this presentation. Okay. Any service accommodation. Excellent. Thank you for the feedback. Good. So, Amjad, I would say it's 6 minutes after 8 UK time.
Yes,
so should we start?
Yes. Now.
Nisha, both of them. So just to, before we start properly, this event is recorded, okay? And you, at the end of this event, after I think 1 or 2 hours, you will receive an email with a link to the recorded version of it. So you can replay it as many times as you want. And if you think that anyone in your network might benefit from it, feel free to forward the link to your network. Okay, so Liam McDonough, HMO, excellent, brilliant. So, Amjad, if you agree, we can start.
Yes, let's start.
So let me share my screen. Sorry, takes a little bit of time. So in the meantime, while we are starting the presentation, again, if every other person who has not shared, if you prefer, or if you're more focused on HMO and SA, feel free to write it in the chat. And in 1 or 2 minutes, we will be able to share the screen. I don't know why the moment is at the end of it. Almost there. 20 seconds and we go live. So you upload the slide pack from the end. So I'm sorry about that. Yeah, voilà. Can you guys see my screen? Amjad, can you see it? Yeah, we cannot hear you anymore.
Well, yes, I can see the screen. Yeah, sorry, I had it on mute.
Excellent. So welcome to this webinar. Amjad and I, following the success of the sequel, which was a series of 6 events during the summer, we have decided to put together a new webinar where we really want to give you actionable tips, both on HMO and SA, that you can implement straight away. We really want to give you information and tips and tools that you can implement immediately, because we really want to make a difference to this community. Okay, Rent to Rent has given both Amjad and I a huge amount of things, and this is almost a way for us to give a little bit back. So what we are going to talk about today is we will have a short introduction about ourselves, for those who have never talked with us before. Then I think the clue of this meeting is, this webinar is, we are going to share the top 5 tips that will make a big change to your, or impact to your rent-to-rent HMO and SA business. And as I just said earlier, you will see that we will give you more than 5 tips, but we will start with the top 1. And then we will share with you how we can help you to succeed if that's what you want. Okay. As I just said, in the chat box, there is a tab called Q&A only. So please, any question it comes to your mind, write it in the Q&A tab, and then at the end of the presentation, we will go through it one by one. We prefer not to interrupt our presentation with the questions, otherwise it might take forever. Okay, so bear with us for all the 15-20 slides we will present, and then we promise you that we reply to every, or answer every single question you might have written there. Okay, remember, there are no silly questions, so don't be shy, ask anything. Okay. So let me introduce myself. My name is Giuseppe Leone. I am specialized in rent-to-rent HMO, and I started my career working for Shell, the oil company. I started in Milan, where I come from, and I worked for them for 19 years, okay? But while I was working for Shell in 2014, I decided that I want to create a side hustle business, which potentially could become my main occupation, my main source of income. And I always loved properties. In fact, when I was a kid, I wanted to study, I want to become an architect. And then for different reasons, I studied business and economics. But my passion for floor plans and anything about forcing appreciation and improving and managing property has always been with me since I was a child. So in 2014, as I said, while I was still working for Shell, I decided to look into properties. At that time, I didn't know anything about properties, and I had a little bit of money in my bank account as a saving, but with the knowledge I had at that time, I thought I could not replace my salary. So I typed in Google something like property strategies which will not require a lot of money upfront, and rent-to-rent popped up. To be honest, when I read about it on internet, it looked a little bit like a scam to me. I said, I'm not sure about that. But as usual, I'm very open-minded. So I decided to invest a weekend and a few £100, and I went to a crash course of rent-to-rent. And I fell completely in love with this strategy. So cutting a long story short, I started immediately building a large rent-to-rent HMO portfolio. And then I reached a point where I could replace my salary, as we will hear soon, but I still want to build my own portfolio. So I kept growing my rent-to-rent portfolio even bigger, so that I had extra cash to build my own portfolio through the strategy BRR, buy, refurbish, refinance, and rent. Okay, so I bought several properties in cash through the money of my investor, but I invest my own money, usually is between 50 and 80,000 pounds, in order to pay for all the refurbishment and all the legals and stamp duties and so on. So I show my investor that I had skin in the games. I was risking financially as well, because I think that was a much better proposition than say, well, you give me the money and I just spend my time without risking anything. I didn't feel comfortable with that. And then in 2019, because I've been doing rent-to-rent for so long, I decided to start helping people to build and scale up their portfolio, which is my true passion today. And as you can see here, there is this beautiful photo with this beautiful beach. Can you see this arrow here, the green one? That's where I'm making this webinar from. So I moved in July this year. I managed to relocate my whole family to Mallorca, a beautiful Spanish island. And since then, I've been managing my businesses from there. And that has always been my goal. So I always want to live by a beach and work remotely. And I'm really, really happy and proud that, you know, in only 7 years since I left Shell, I managed to build all of this and move to Mallorca. So this is not to show off, but this is just to highlight that if you are keen to achieve your goals, if you got a strong why, so strong reason to do something, and you never give up on your dreams, you can make it. If somebody with, you know, my silly accent, I'm a foreigner, I'm not very smart, I did it. All of you guys on this call, you can do it even better than me. That's me in a nutshell. And yeah, over to Amgad.
Right. Okay, guys. But for those that don't know me, my name is Amgad or Amgad Mechaeil. I always say my journey started with a can of Pepsi. And by that, it's when I was the age of around 12 years old, I was so eager to learn, so eager to wanting to work and start earning my own money. So I used to always go on the summer breaks and the school holidays to the cafe down the beach and wait there from 7 in the morning and begging the owner to give me a job. 2 weeks later, he gave in and he did give me a job, but my pay was a can of Pepsi a day. So I was getting paid a can of Pepsi every day for 9 hours work for 2 weeks before I started getting proper pay. But I didn't care. I still just wanted to do it. I wanted to prove myself, and I wanted to prove to him that I am reliable and I am a hard worker, which I did at the end. So following on from there, I went to work in sales, telecommunications, then went to university, studied business and marketing management, graduated, worked in finance, and worked my way up to become a banker, and then moved over to becoming a private banker with the RBS Group or NatWest. In 2008, the financial crisis hit, everything crumbled. Unfortunately, I didn't lose my job, even though I was really hoping I'd lose my job because I wanted the redundancy pay and wanted out, but I didn't. So then I went to my wife and I said to her, like, you know what, I can't see people that I've worked with fall so hard and my hands are tied and I can't do anything, I can't help them, they're literally losing their businesses, I can't see this anymore, so I'm gonna quit. And then she said to me, well, if you quit, how are we gonna live? I said, I don't know, I'm just gonna have to figure it out. So I did that. I just quit, and obviously no one was recruiting at the time, so my only option really to earn some money was to become a taxi driver. So I studied the Brighton Knowledge and drove a taxi for a bit. And then I was asked by the taxi company if I'd like to join the board of directors, which I did, and eventually became the chairman of the company. And then I knew that I wanted to achieve more. So I started looking at property investing, and I didn't want to do it the traditional way because that's not the quickest way to earn a good living out of property investments. I just wanted something that's going to be different, that's going to be quick and effective. Well, I'm not saying you're going to be rich overnight, but it helps you get there a lot quicker. So like Giuseppe, I went and did some courses and started my journey. Actually, to begin with, I wanted to do HMO. And when I got my first property, I thought, you know what, this is a prime location for serviced accommodation. So I switched my strategy from HMO to serviced accommodation. And before you knew it, Fusion Holiday Homes was born, and Fusion Property Solution was born as well. Fusion Holiday Homes is my holiday letting company, and Fusion Property Solution is my asset-based company and the company that I do my projects, my flips, and my BRR, like Giuseppe has said. Okay, and now decided that I want to share my knowledge with people and help people achieve what I've achieved. So I started doing mentoring as well. So that's me.
Fantastic, fascinating story. Huh? Started with a Pepsi, kind of Pepsi. Oops, there's a lot of noise. Over to you.
Right. So Giuseppe and I decided that we want to give back to the community. So we've opened up a Facebook group. Some of you may be aware of it. Others might not. It's called Rent to Rent in a Box. And the aim is to create a caring community to help each other achieve high results. So if you've got social media, if you've got Facebook, do check it out, become a member, because we do add value every week. We try and put different content there on a weekly basis to help everyone out. So do check us out on Rent to Rent in a Box on Facebook.
And I've just put in the chat box the link to join, so you can just click it so you know where we are. Excellent. So we really want to create a community there, okay? So the more people join who are genuinely interested in learning and sharing about rent to rent, they're more than welcome. What we are going to stop, so we will not publish anyone who's trying to sell deals, okay? So it's not going to become another Facebook group where people try to sell their deals. I say it already, it's very well written at the beginning, but I just want to share it. This is a community where people should help each other, okay? Inspiring each other, really become almost a family, okay?
Exactly that. And we do share informative content on there. So even if you've gone past the rent to rent stage and you just want to know how to operate, I did a live the other day from a property that I'm currently in the process of setting up. So there are always going to be tips there, and Giuseppe does lives on there as well. We're always sharing content to help everyone out in that group.
Absolutely. Excellent. So as you guys know, rent to rent can be executed as a service accommodation and or HMO. Both Amgad and I tried both of them. I started with HMO, then for 9 months I tried SA, then went back to my first love, which was HMO, and Amgad did the other way around. Today, what we are going to give you is tips on both of them, because there is not one better than another. It's a completely personal opinion. And what we recommend you guys doing is, if you decide to go for any of them, test it yourself. So don't take a decision based on, the flavor of the month of Facebook or what your mates tell you after 4 pints on the pub or anything else. Try yourself. I tried service accommodation for 9 months, seriously. Amgad tried HMOs for several months, seriously. And then we decided it was not done for us. But, both of us are fairly doing well, and we are just doing the opposite. One service accommodation, the other HMO. So try it. And there is a chance where you might want to do both of them. So there is nothing wrong with that. Okay. But today we are trying to help both line of business of rent to rent. Okay. But this is just a little bit of mindset. First of all, this strategy works if you have got a small amount of money. So when you hear people say you don't need money, that's not right. You need some money, not a lot of money in a big scheme of property investment, but you will see some case studies soon. You will need between 3 and 10,000 pounds. Okay, so you need some money. It might not be yours again. You might have access to that one, but don't think that is a no money strategy. You need some money. But the key one is consistency. Okay, you need to take action every single day. We are all very, very busy, but everyone, even the president of the US, has got 15 minutes free every single day. Okay, so what I always share with people who, in my academy and so on, I say, ideally, you should spend, as it's written here, 10 hours a week working on the business. But if you cannot do it, at least every single day, take a small action for 10, 15 minutes while you are having a coffee break or any break you make in your life, and move forward. So I found this spot, which I really like. The success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. And that's the trick, day in and day out. A lot of people, they do peaks and troughs of effort. They do nothing for 3 months or 3 weeks, and then they try to do everything in 1 week. It's a little bit like me in the gym. I have some moments where I say, oh, I want to transform my body, go to the gym every day for 2 months, and then I stop for 6 months, and then I start again. This is not good, okay? It does not work. You should do 15, 20 minutes every single day, consistent, and move even slowly towards the goal you have given to yourself. You will achieve that goal much more quickly. And the last one that is very important, this is not going to be plain sailing. It's going to be an emotional roller coaster. Even now, and I'm sure Amgad can confirm this one, 10, 11 years into this world, into this business, we still get some days which are not happy, okay? Some bad days, okay? So you will go up and down your emotion. But the goal of in your aptitude is never give up. If the reason why you are doing all of that is strong enough, just go ahead. Okay. Bear in mind, my first mentor told me when I started 11 years ago, say, as generically speaking, in the life of the property investor, you will get at least 40 days where you want to give up during the year. Okay, so when one of those days hits you, just write it on a piece of paper. This is one of the 40. And sometimes the good thing I do is, if I see it's a really bad day, I just shut down my laptop and I move out to my office. I go for a walk. I take even half a day off. I say, today it does not work. Okay, I just go out, unfog my head, just try to take care of myself mentally and physically and so on. Have a good night's sleep, and the day after, magically you will see that your problem will have not disappeared, but you will have a mindset that will allow you to cope with those problems in a much more efficient way. Okay? I don't know, Amgad, if you want to add anything else on this point.
No, absolutely, because like with everything else with property, you're going to have your challenges and your challenging days, and you just have to be consistent, keep going, and don't let it put pull you down. There will be days where you will feel really down. Just to give you an example, last Sunday, yesterday, I just went on my portfolio and I was just checking the OTAs because I've got everything automated, and I just do checks just to make sure everything's functioning as it should. And I went on booking.com and I saw that they've completely messed up all of my pricing and my rate plans, and it wasn't pulling the data for the prices from my channel manager. And I was literally pulling my hair out because I tried contacting booking.com, and booking.com, they're not interested. They'll say, we'll look into it, we'll get someone to call you. And I know that answer usually means wait. If you're lucky, maybe a week you'll get answered back to. So straight away, I just contacted the channel manager. I use 𝐒𝐮𝐬, and I said, guys, is there anything that you can see? So we had to, on a Sunday, had to jump on a call with 𝐒𝐮𝐬 for 90 minutes just to identify what went wrong and why it went wrong, and why are the prices not being reflected on booking.com. But straight away, like 90 minutes later, we managed to resolve it. And as soon as I started getting the bookings coming in again, I started feeling happy again. But you will get those moments where you feel, I'm just about to pull my hair, what's going on here? But just pick yourself up, focus on the why you're doing it, because each and every single one of us has a reason behind why they're doing a certain thing. It might be financial freedom. It might be like what Giuseppe has done, is to relocate to a nice sunny place. I am Giuseppe. I'm definitely moving towards the sun.
You will.
Everyone's got a reason onto why they're doing it. So just remind yourself of that reason.
Absolutely. Excellent. And please remember to write any question in the Q&A session. And by the way, Liam, well done in asking to join Rent in the Box. Just approve it. So good to have an additional person in the community. So why did I choose Rent, so HMO? So it's very, very important that when you choose any strategy in property, and bear in mind that in property there are tens and tens of strategies. They are all good and all bad. It really depends on yourself. The way I did it is I chose a specific strategy, and I gave to that strategy a specific goal. In fact, I gave to this strategy 4 goals. And so I chose that strategy because I want to achieve a specific goal. So my first goal was, when I started, to replace my salary, my wife, who is also my business partner, salary. And as you have heard, that by 2017, we replaced both my wife and my salary, which were two fairly big salaries. So in less than 3 years, we managed to achieve that one. And then, so at that point, Rent HMO business was giving us, as a net profit, the same amount of money that our corporate salaries were giving to us. So the day I left Shell, 1st of July 2017, I still remember that day, in my bank account, my personal bank account, I received exactly the same amount that I had received the previous month, but instead of coming from Shell International from the Netherlands, it came from my business Lloyd's account in Bristol. Okay. Then the second goal was really to have extra cash to build our portfolio through the BRR strategy, as you have heard 10 minutes ago. And we completed that one in 2021. Okay. Where we are now, the net profit from our portfolio is giving us the lifestyle we are looking for or we want to live, and all the net profit from rent, we are using it to pay down the mortgages of our portfolio. And so this is work in progress, and according to my Excel spreadsheet, within 5 years I will complete that one. And then at that point we'll hit phase 4, which means that all my portfolio will be mortgage free. And then very likely I will sell my rent-to-rent business to somebody else, and potentially I will hire somebody rent to rent, maybe one of you guys, who knows, to manage my own portfolio, and I will do what I love, being on the beach. And this is a beautiful photo of me and my dad last year in Sardinia, an island in Italy. So can you see, rent to rent, a lot of people think rent to rent is a very basic strategy, it's just a cash flow strategy, it's a beginner strategy. All of that is true, but if you use it strategically, as I've done and Amgad is doing, okay, you can achieve much more. So replacing salaries, buying your portfolio or building your portfolio, pay down your debts, you know, and potentially have a completely hassle-free life. Okay, so I hope this will give you a little bit more of mindset or strategy, thinking on how you can leverage this beautiful strategy. Okay. Amjad, how did you use
Yes.
rent?
So for me, I started with 0 properties. Well, I just did the one, actually. I just had just the one property when I was in the bank. But then with using and implementing this strategy, what it has done, it's given me the most important thing, and that is time. Time is the most valuable thing that you'll ever have. So now I'm able to spend more time with my children. I'm also able to travel wherever I want and not be worried about the finances, and be able to take my kids on regular holidays. It also generates the cash flow that you need, as well as being in the community or in the property area. Like, you get to work with a lot of different people, build connections, and build your network, and your network is your net worth. So as you grow and as you meet new people, you start becoming friends with them, and you start becoming like them and growing with them as well. So everyone kind of grows together. So it does have that good feeling to it.
And we if you remember, we met during an online network event in one of these virtual rooms that they are created during the events. That's where we met during COVID. Okay.
Yes.
And here we are 3-4 years later, doing something together, and which is, so that's the beauty of networking. So it's really important you guys network massively. Okay, that's the best investment in time you can do, honestly.
Absolutely, and you'll meet interesting people, and there's ways that you can help them, and there's ways they can help you, and everyone, like I said, everyone will grow. By implementing the strategy as well, same as Giuseppe, I started building my own portfolio. I try and do some flips, 1 or 2 flips in a year, and I also try and do buying, refurbishing, refinance, and renting out back on the SA or HMO if the opportunity presents itself, depending on what type of property I have. So this strategy does give you the cash flow then to enable you to start building your own portfolio, and then eventually, like Giuseppe has said, you'll be able to fully pay off the portfolio, and that is then when it becomes a passive income, and then when you get a management company, someone to manage the portfolio for you whilst you don't have to do anything.
Absolutely. So can you guys see how you can use it? So, but now let's make it real. So what I'm going to show you some real examples. So this is an HMO, one of my HMOs, and it is a 5-bedroom licensed HMO, licensed for 6 people, which means that in one room I can have a couple or 2 people, and then it's got 2 full bathroom, a separate kitchen, dining, living room, and when I bought it, when I visited it, I remember this is the entrance here, and I met the landlord here. And when I opened the door, this house was at that time rented to family on benefits and so on, and it especially was rented to 4 single moms with young kids. When I opened the door, there was on these steps here, I still visualize it, a nappy open, full of natural stuff from this baby. So the landlord was happy about the fact that it was guaranteed rent from the council, but he wanted to have his house to be a little bit uplifted. So that's what he wanted to do. So when I came and talked to him, I said, well, we can do a light refurb, and then we put professional there. It was music for his ears. So what we did here, we did just very cosmetic work, and you can see the same 3 photos now. So that's the entrance, you remember. That was where the nappy was. We changed all that carpet. And that's me personally, I'm a big believer that, laminate flooring, especially in the hallway, is much better, because especially when it rains and so on, it can become very muddy if you got carpet. So we replaced that one there. This was the very cluttered living room, and we just declutter it. But most important, we just put bits of colors. This is an IKEA shelf. Nothing. I didn't break my bank account, but can you see how different this looks? Then I'm a big believer on putting pictures on the walls, okay? Because this walls here, when it was just white, it was very, very boring. And now with a little bit of colors, and that one is useful. And then a rug here, and always some plants. These are really, really good for the photos. And so can you see the big difference? So let's look at the numbers, okay? So I get £2,575 from my tenants. I pay the landlord 1,450. I send a cleaner twice a month to clean all the communal areas. And this is a massive selling point to my landlord, because I said, well, basically we do a mini inspection every 2 weeks, which is much, much higher amount than if they rent it through a letting agency, who will then go there once every 6-7 months, okay? Then all my utilities, I don't pay gas and electricity. My tenants pay for gas and electricity, so it might look a little bit lower, but here we have got basically council tax, water, internet. And then the months where I don't have maintenance, I have got a profit of almost £800. Okay, so I spent £4,000 as initial investment for furniture, a little bit of refurb, and because we went through an agency, I pay some agency fee. So in only 5 months, I got my money back. Yeah, who would love something like this? Put your comments in the chat. Okay, so how many deals like this one do you need to make an impact on your life? Usually, an average salary in UK is about £2,500 per month. So you need 3 or 4 of those deals, and you can, make an impact on your life. And that's the mindset I want you to think. You don't need to build a massive portfolio. In fact, you may not want to build a massive portfolio. I didn't have, still don't have, in ego that say I want to have, thousands of properties. Not at all. I just need to have the right amount of property to achieve my goals. Okay. So can you see, in just 3-4 properties, you can change your life. And that's what I want you to start thinking about. Okay.
Right. For me, when it comes to looking at the property, it's very important to consider your location. Location plays a vital part if your property is going to be suitable for what you want it to do, or if it's not going to be suitable. As you all know by now, that I specialize in service accommodation. So that's Airbnb, book, and advertising in booking.com as well. So in terms of client base, it's either going to be a contractor market, relocators, or it's going to be the tourist market. So the location will help you identify the right property to go for and what you're likely to be achieving once you've gone for that particular property. So if you're near a city or in an area where there's a lot of construction workers or construction work being carried out, Service accommodation will still work because these contractors do need accommodation. Sometimes they might take the accommodation off you for like a month, 2 months, or 3 months period. So it does work, and for those type of, or that type of market, you will need the larger properties, 3-bedroom plus. So it's important to think about the location. If you're in a city like Brighton, as long as the property is close to the local amenities and city attractions, a one-bedroom property can also work depending on where it is in the city. Like the other day in the group, I did a live. I was setting up a 1-bedroom flat that was very close to the city center and Brighton Station. So location is very key, and it plays a massive part on your success.
Excellent.
Right. So once you've identified the location, one advice I will give to you, especially if you're going to be doing the service accommodation strategy, is to use softwares like AirDNA. AirDNA is just basically a software that you put in the location, and it will just search the market, and it will tell you how similar size properties have performed for the last 365 days. Same with Price Labs. I love Price Labs. It's a brilliant piece of software. If you don't have it and you're in SA, you're doing service accommodation, make sure that you do sign up with Price Labs. It's totally amazing. So do your research before saying yes to a property. Calculate how much this property is likely to achieve over a 12-month term, and look at your expenses and deduct them out and see if it's going to be worth it or not. Okay, don't focus too much on the occupancy levels, because for me, occupancy is nothing. I mean, I can sell a property for £10 a night, and then I'll be 100% occupied, but by the end of the month, I'm actually losing money. So I focus more on the quality of the booking and how much I can charge in that property than focusing, let me just get people in. I just want people to come and stay with me at the property. So don't think too much about the occupancy level, but focus on the quality of bookings.
I think that's a massive mindset shift, because every time I read stuff about service accommodation, I always hear people say, what is the occupancy rate? They all focus on that percentage. While yes, I fully agree with you, is the amount. You might have 50% of occupancy rate, but at top price, you will make more money than renting it at £10 at 100%. So I think it's a really very valid, a good point, to be honest.
Yes, you just focus on the quality of the booking, because occupancy, like everyone can sell up their rooms at a cheap nightly rate and they can be 100% occupied, but it doesn't get you anywhere. You'll end up losing money, because don't forget you've got the utility cost on top of your mortgage or on top of your rent, and all the other expenses. Is just not worth it. So I tend to focus more on the high-end market rather than the bottom end of the market, which is basically oversaturated. All the properties look the same. There's no character, there's no style. So we kind of target the high end. We're not cheap in terms of pricing, but we still make good money. So that's my target market. I'm not saying that the contractor market isn't a good market. It's also a good strategy. Again, it all depends on your location and where you are based. Okay, so make sure you get the location right. You check how the property performs using software like Price Labs or AirDNA before you're deciding to go live with it. Understand your customer base and understand your local area before going ahead.
Excellent.
Right, so guest avatar, your ideal guest. This is very, very, very important. you really need to think carefully about who do you want to attract, why you want to attract them, what are they looking for in your property, what size of property do they require, the location of the property, and how long they will stay with you. So if you are targeting, let's have a look at Brighton, for instance. Brighton tends to attract a lot of visitors, and visitors want to be close to the local attractions. So what you want to do is you want to make sure, number one, that you're providing high level comfort for your visitors, so they leave you a good review and they always come back to you. Okay, and if you're targeting longer stays, such as contractors, then you need to think about what do they require in the property. So you just need to make sure it is a home away from home. In all of my properties, we use high-end furnishing, and we always use streaming services and services such as Netflix. So they've got everything that they require, plus the location is close to the center, or if it's close to the hospital. It's important that you know your guest and you know what your guest is looking for, so that you're able to attract them to come to you.
First.
Design is, I can't stress how important design is. I mean, these are some of the designs in some of my properties. It's important that you get that right. You need to stand out. You can't have a property that just looks the same as every single other property that is on Airbnb and Booking.com, because you're not going to get booked. You need to look different. You need to use colors. I mean, this bathroom, you can see that I call it the bling bling bathroom. It's just, we decided to go with gold in the shower and then black ceilings, and it just looks different. People love that. We do the swans in our beds, and that's something kind of like unique. Not many people do it. So we do either swans, or we do the diamond shapes with the towels. So our housekeeping team know how to do them. And I love using large wall art because I think that is a feature, and it says, look at me. It draws people's attention straight away. So make it look good. Use high-end furnishing. Don't cut cost when it comes to mattresses, when it comes to bedding, when it comes to furniture, because it's false economy. You're only going to replace it and keep replacing it. Spend it once, get it over and done with, and have something that's good, that's going to last you, and people are going to love.
And be bold. I've been in that bathroom with a black ceiling, and I remember you telling me before getting there, I said, I've got black ceiling. I said, oh, I'm not sure about that. It's incredible. It's absolutely stunning, and it's really, really smart. You need to be brave to do that, because it's very rare to see that. But yeah, people will not forget that photo, definitely. And
yes, I mean, my portfolio is I've got the color of the rainbow in the properties. Every property is designed differently. I've got orange ceilings in one of them, where we just separate the open plan living area, the kitchen, from the living area, and it looks different. People love that. It stands out in the photos. Nice. So design is of paramount. It's hugely important if you're in the SA world, and also in the
HMO as well. So when you furnish or refurb your HMO as well, treat it as if it was a service accommodation property, because as for SA, there are tons and tons of HMOs. If you've got, with all respect, magnolia walls and one carpet, you are one of the 1,000 there. If you've got this blinking bathroom, as Amgad described it, you will stand out. People will want to live here. Okay, so even for HMO, you need to give your tenants a feeling as if they were staying in an hotel. So my suggestion is try to focus on the luxurious market instead of the average market, because the average market, there is the full world. So I call it Vietnam. It's a war. Okay. But no, these photos are incredible. Really, really nice.
Yeah. So again, there's more to design here. Like you can see, we've went with green walls. Is different, stands out. Every room is going to be designed differently. Will attract people. It will look lovely, and it's very comfortable. So some of the things that you really need to think about is the comfort of the guests. So does the room have the facility to enable you to have 2 bedside tables? If it does, perfect. Make sure that you have 2. Don't cut corners, only have 1. For people to leave their mobile phones if they're charging them, or if they want to do some night reading. Bedside lamps as well, very important. Floor standing mirrors for the ladies, as you can see in this green one. You can see the floor standing mirrors, because the ladies, once they dress up, they want to see their full outfit before they leave. So just, it's small little things that create convenience and comfort. I prefer using clothing rails rather than wardrobes in serviced accommodation, because usually with wardrobes, they end up breaking them. So clothing rails, they're sturdy, they're good, and they're sufficient, along with chest of drawers. Use calm colors in the bedroom just to make it relaxing. Always use blackout curtains whenever you can, and avoid office blinds. They just don't look nice. Sockets for phone chargers near the beds. So when I am doing a project, when I'm doing a property up that I buy and I'm refurbishing it, I always think about where the bed is going to go and where the sockets are going to be, because I need to make sure that I provide the convenience for the guests that are staying in my property. So I make sure that the property is designed mindfully. So all it does is just offer constant convenience. If no carpet, then again, if you've got laminate in the bedroom, just have a nice large rug by the bed. It does give it the feeling of coziness. So these are just some of the ideas I wanted to share with you in terms of design tips.
Amazing, amazing ideas. Thank you so much. So let me give you a couple of more tips about HMOs, but there are also, most of them are also, usable for SA. It's still rent-to-rent. So a lot of people want to contact the landlord directly, and there are, several ways that everybody does it. I think there are 2 ways that will make you stand out. First of all, this is really, I'm so keen in spreading this one as much as I can. What I strongly believe is in the power of the network of your network. If you master how to leverage the network of your network, so the network of your first connection, you will smash it. So for me, when I was thinking, how can I think out of the box and trying to find landlords directly instead of using the standard ways that everybody does it? And I look at all the people I liaise with, all my trade team, all my power team. And then I had a light bulb moment. I said, well, gas engineers, if you think carefully, if you live in your residential house, very unlikely you will service your combi boiler every single year. You should, but normally people don't. There are a lot of people they don't know, okay? And but every single landlord who rents a property from a studio flat to a 15 rooms HMO must service the combi boiler every single year, because one of the mandatory documents you need to provide to your tenants every time they move in is a valid gas service certificate. So by default, the vast majority of the clients of a gas engineer are landlord, which is exactly your target. So what I do with my gas engineers, I decided to contact them and I say, I've got a great business opportunity. If we work together, if you put me in touch with your clients, so you're the landlords, and if the landlord signs a rent-to-rent deal with me, I give you a referral fee, okay? I've decided to give them £300, and the reason why I came up with that amount is because if I rent a property through a letting agency, as an average in Bristol, a letting agency will charge me between £300 and £500. So for me, it's exactly the same amount I would pay to a letting agency. So it's not like an extra cost. But if you think about a gas engineer, if that person gives you 3 or 4 contacts per month who sign the contract, he or she can make over £1,000 of profit every single month. And that is a game changer. Okay. So what I suggest you doing is, open your, list of contacts, your mobile phone, look at all the gas engineer you have been liaising so far, contact them, invite them for a coffee and say, I've got a business opportunity for you. If you don't have any gas engineer, ask your network, ask your family, friends, people say, can anyone recommend me local gas engineers? And if so, contact them, say, I've received the number from XYZ and I've got an opportunity for you. The second one, most of the people send letters to licensed HMO landlords. This poor landlord receive probably 10 letters a week, okay? And what a lot of people do is, with all respect, they send this letter in a bright colored envelope. Usually, the one that I receive in Bristol, they're mainly blue and yellow. I don't know why, but that's what they do in Bristol. And a landlord immediately understand that. But if you think carefully, when you receive your post through the letterbox, the only type of envelope you will never ignore is a brown envelope, because a brown envelope means either you were speeding up in your car, so it's a fine from the police, or it's a letter from HMRC, so it's about taxes. Both of them, you don't want to mess around with them, so you open that letter. So what I do when I launch campaign to licensed HMO landlords, I send their letters into a brown envelope. So I know that at least that letter will be open. So I'm already one step ahead from the one who sent the yellow envelope, because that yellow envelope will go straight in the bin. Okay, so it's not rocket science, but these are the small tweaks you can make to your marketing in order to increase your potential success rate. Okay, then the second one is in order to, especially now, in order to keep your direct costs under control. Most of the people who work in this environment, they charge to the tenants all bills included. It means that every single bill is included. So council, water, internet, TV license, gas, and electricity. Okay, I don't. I pay council tax, water, internet, TV license, but I make the tenants to pay for gas and electricity. And the reason I explain this to my tenants is I give you the control of this cost. Okay, so you now can decide if you want to have 15 degrees in your house or 40 degrees in your house. You pay according to your behavior. Okay, and what I achieve myself is I don't have any variable cost in my profit and loss, and there are variable costs that are not under my direct control, so I would feel very, very uncomfortable. So this is something that I implement from day one, and it's probably the smartest decision I think I made in my own business. And when all the Liz Truss messed up the world and all the bills, gas, electricity skyrocketed, I was relaxed because I was not paying for them. I felt very sorry for my tenants, obviously, but it was not impacting directly my business account. Okay.
I just wanted to quickly touch up from what Giuseppe has said there. With SA, what I recommend that you guys do, because obviously you're paying every single bill. if you're doing service accommodation. I highly recommend that you fit in either a nest or a hive or a similar device that's you can control with an app. Because what's going to happen is when you've got guests in there, they don't care. They'll keep the heating running even if they're out of the property, and they'll just whack it up to the highest temperature possible. I mean, we've had it done before where some of the guests that we've had in one of the properties, they've increased the temperature to 30 degrees, which is unbelievable. It was way
over
too
the
hot.
top.
But that's going to cost you guys a lot of money. So make sure that you install a hive or a nest device or something similar that you can control with an app, so you can monitor the temperature levels and force it to drop down. Usually the ideal temperature is 2021. You can just keep an eye on it, and when the guests do leave, you can just switch everything off. So if you can get those kind of devices, make sure you do get them. It's important.
Absolutely. Very, very good tip. And the third tip is all about choosing the right tenants. And later, Amgad will talk about the right guest. In terms of, buckets of tenants, you can have professionals, students, or people on local housing allowance. They're all good. They're all bad. The key thing is never mix and match type of tenants. So if you've got professional, don't put student together, or student with people on a housing allowance. And even the professional, think carefully, and that's one of the questions we ask is what shift they work. Because again, if you have got 2 people working night shift and then you've got 3 people working the day shift, they would, bother each other because they live in completely different hours of the day and on the night. Okay, I personally find that the blue collars are the best tenants. Okay, because they usually work very, very hard, especially physically. When they come back home, they don't have even the energy to do big parties and so on. And the only thing you really need to give them, apart from obviously a very nice and comfortable house, is to have to provide them very fast internet connection, because most of them potentially are from abroad, and the only thing they want to do when they go back home is to contact their family wherever they're from and have a long discussion without having any stable internet connection. In terms of student, I've got also houses with students, but I don't hire or rent my properties to year 1, year 2 students. Year 1 because they don't know how to operate anything in the house, because they've been living most of the time with mom and dad till 10 minutes before. So they look at the washing machine and say, "What is that strange stuff?" I said, "Well, that's what your mom has been operating for you for the last 18 years. And year 2, they are still very, very heavy with parties. So I know it's quite generic comment, but that's the reality, the facts. And so I've got students, but I've got only year 3 or last year students, and my favorite one are PhD students. Those are really my dream tenants. Okay, but the key thing the key message I want to give you here is never mix and match type of guest or tenants. Okay. Then the number 4 is when you look for potential rent-to-rent properties, both for rent-to-rent, HMO, and SA, it's very, very important that you look at potential issue you can have in that house in terms of maintenance. And for me, the key things that I check is, first of all, I check every single radiator and make sure that ideally they are double panel, and most important, they are not rusty. Because if they are, it means that they are quite old, so their efficiency is not very good. Then I check the boiler. I always ask how old is the boiler. The boiler lifespan is usually around 12 to 15 years. If they tell me that the boiler was installed 10 years ago, I get a little bit uncomfortable. I know that if the boiler breaks the landlord will pay for it, but it will be so inconvenient for your tenants. And usually this boiler pack up always on the coldest night of the year. And then at that point, they will not be able to have heating for at least 1 or 2 weeks. It is really inconvenient for the poor tenants who are paying rent, even if there is no heating, and for you that you need to try to replace this boiler very, very quickly. The third point is I always look in the top corners or behind the curtains and see if there are signs of molds. I know that a lot of time the molds is driven by behavior, so it's due to poor circulation in the room because potential tenants don't open the curtains or they don't open the window. But sometimes it also reflects very poor outside insulation, okay, exterior insulation. So again, this is very bad for your tenants. They cannot breathe more than so on. So if you see some sign of it, for me, it's a massive red flag. And last but not least, I look at the windows. If they are single glazed, run away as fast as you can, because those windows will make the life of your tenants really, really uncomfortable. So make sure that you got at least double or even better triple glazed windows. Okay. If you see any of this sign, in order to sign your contract, you must convince the landlord to upgrade the property in the way you want. Otherwise, please don't sign the contract, move away. Okay. And the last one from my side is on cash flow management. I'm a massive believer on cash flow management. I do it even in my personal life. So a lot of companies go bust, not because they don't have a business, but because they don't have cash in their bank. You know, there is a standard saying that cash is king. Is absolutely true. So what I do with all my businesses, and even in my private life, I've got a main, I call it day-to-day account, where I usually receive all the rent from my tenants, and I pay all the rent to the landlord. But then every month I've got a standard order to sub accounts. So for each business, I've got 3 sub accounts. One is for maintenance, one for tax, and one for, I call it, a rainy day. So it's like a pot of money that if anything goes very bad because of external issue, you know, COVID is one of the big one, you know, other stuff like that, you have got a pot of money you can fish from, okay? And every month, automatically, I've got amount of money that leave my main account, going to maintenance, tax, and rent. So when I need to pay for maintenance, I don't need to panic. I go into the maintenance account, and most of the times I find the amount of money I need every single month to pay for that maintenance. And when you pay your corporation tax, which, by the way, it's a good thing if you pay for corporation tax because it means you are making profit, okay? Then you will have the money there. I pay my corporation tax on the 30th or by the 30th of September, so a few weeks ago, okay? I didn't panic. It was a fairly good amount of money, but because I had accrued that amount of money every single month for the previous 12 months, I find more or less that amount of money to pay already there. So it was completely stress-free. And I do the same for my personal account. I've got a sub-account for holiday, a sub-account for taxes, and a sub-account for my kids go to a private school for that education funds and so on. So try to not to have everything in one single account, because then sometimes the amount you see there gives you false indication of how much money you really have, okay? And if there is an emergency, you might find yourself in a very dark place. So doing all of this will make your life in case of emergency much, much easier, okay? And your cash flow management will make your life much easier. Okay, I hope you find all of this very useful. And yeah, over to Amgad for additional tips.
Right. So I know he said 5 tips, but I just I just wanted to give you more information and just to help you guys out. It's very important when you're thinking about service accommodation is to focus on quality and cleanliness. It's super, super, super important that you have a good cleaning team behind you. And we have been absolutely blessed. My head of housekeeper and her cleaning company are absolutely amazing at what they do. And Louisa will just go and she will check after them and make sure that they've done their job properly. It's the last thing you want is for the guest to walk in and then they find that the place isn't clean. First impressions do count, so it's important that it is clean, because if they do spot something, guess what? They're going to complain to you and they're going to mark you down on the reviews. Always remember that SA is a hospitality business, so you need to be there, like available for anything if it goes wrong. And also, if you're going into a hotel and you're paying a premium price or high price, you do expect to go to your room and it's nice and clean. And likewise, you need to make sure that this service is available for your guest. Customer service. Customer service is extremely important. You need to be able to communicate with your guests from the minute that they book. So straight away when our guests book a property, like I give it 5 minutes, then a message will go out thanking them for booking with us and just highlighting their check-in dates, check-out dates, and the link that we require them to fill out before they arrive. And also, like the night after they stay with us, another message goes out to them to say, hey, how are you? Did you guys settle in okay? Is there anything else that I can do to make your stay more enjoyable? The guests really do appreciate these kind of messages because it shows that you care. But that doesn't mean, I mean, I've got a fairly large portfolio. It doesn't mean I'm just sitting there all the time messaging the guests, because that's going to eat away a lot of my time. It all goes down to automation. So we automate these messages. And then I also have my virtual assistant, Josh, who will also deal with guest communication. So customer service is important. If a guest has requested something, deal with it. If they've reported something that's broken or they have an issue, make sure that you deal with it and sort it out for them. Okay. Optimize pricing and booking. Again, this goes back to what we were discussing earlier. It's not about the occupancy level. It's not about how long you're booked for. It's about, are you leaving money on the table? Are you charging enough? Okay, it's about the quality of the booking. Sometimes what I see is a lot of people going on Airbnb and booking.com and looking at the pricing on there. And then they start competing on price. And guess what? That only leads one way, and that's a downhill race to the bottom. Eventually, they go bust. So if your customer service level is high, and if you're delivering a high-end property, then you can justify charging the high prices, and the guests will pay the high prices because they are gonna get what they pay for. So don't be afraid of charging high prices and making sure that you're optimizing your listings. Okay, use a pricing software. If you're not using one, go and use one. Go and sign with Price Labs. It's going to cost you $9 a month per property, but it's going to be the best $9 that you've spent, because that $9 is going to give you accurate data and accurate market prices that you can compare with and you can charge. And it knows when there are events happening in your cities, because it's constantly monitoring the demands in the city and the supply in the city or in your area. So it knows supply and demand, and it will charge accordingly. And sometimes my prices will fluctuate 2 or 3 times a day. That's perfect, because it also tricks the OTA and it tells them I'm an active host. So then it pushes my listing up to the first page, or the first couple of pages at least. So optimize your listing, optimize your pricing, ensure that you hit it right on customer service. It's so important.
Absolutely.
Leveraging technology. Again, this is one thing that people just, a lot of the time, they just tend to overlook. I mean, today I had a meeting with a management company and an estate agent who lives in London, who came down to meet me, and he was saying to me, how do you deal with this? I've got 11 and it's just killing 11 serviced accommodation SAs. I'm constantly having to message guests and I'm constantly having to run around. It's so frustrating. And I said to him, because you're not doing it right. The technology is there for you to use, but you're not using the right technology. So you need to be using things like a channel manager. Automate your messages. Let your channel manager send out the messages to you without you doing anything. And then as you start scaling and growing, get a virtual assistant. That virtual assistant is then going to be replying directly to the guest and will take care of the guest communication. And it's so cheap to have a virtual assistant. My virtual assistant cost me, I think, £500 to £600 a month for a full-time position. I'll tell you what, is the best £500-600 that I spend every month. It makes my life so much easier and so much better, and it helps you to focus on the big things. It helps you to go out there and network, get the big deals, and get those big deals over the line. And then you can just focus on high ticket stuff rather than low ticket maintenance stuff that you don't need to be involved in.
Absolutely. Okay, so you can be on the business and not in the business.
Exactly. So you'll be on the business. Exactly. So you'll be on the business, just overseeing the operation. Yeah, technology is very important. There's a lot of good systems out there. Do check them out. If you need some advice and assistance, I'll be more than happy to help you guys and just let you know who I use and why I use them.
Excellent. Brilliant. Very, very useful.
Promoting your accommodation effectively. Again, that's one key area that I see people are constantly not doing correctly. Okay, so don't cut corners on your photos. Okay, your photographs on the OTA, it's your shop window. If your shop window doesn't look good, guess what? No one's coming into your shop. So making sure that you're using ideally a lifestyle property photographer, not just a standard property photographer that does estate agent stuff, because they'll just take basic photos. You need a lifestyle property photographer that will pay attention to the small details and will bring those small details into live in your photos and showcase your property to your guests. Making sure that you highlight the unique selling points of your property. So when you come to write your listing, make sure that you're speaking to your ideal guest. Speak to them and make them visualize themselves in the listing. Okay, so for example, we have a beautiful property. It's a 4-bedroom. It's got an amazing roof terrace. Once you're on the roof terrace, you can see the sea, and you can, with the sunset, it looks amazing. So I say things like, during the sunset, you can make your way up to the roof terrace, sit down your favorite drink, and enjoy watching the sun sets down over the sea. Just getting people to visualize themselves in your property, and they start getting a feel of how your property is going to be like, and it actually makes them more encouraged to book it. List your amenities on bullet points, and just make sure your amenities are listed on bullet points. So if they're looking for something specific, they can just go on there, quickly see it. Okay. Utilizing social media. Again, there's a lot of the operators, they do lack in that. They're not posting about what they do or what they have. And why is this important? Because if you are doing it on a larger scale, if you've got more than one property, you really want to attract direct bookings because you want to save on the commission that you pay the OTA. But by utilizing social media, companies can then search you up and they can see what you do. And people can usually just go on Facebook, Instagram, and just quickly have a look at your portfolio and have a look at what you really do. And if you're constantly posting on there, they can see, yes, you're legit. They can see the standard of property that you have. And also you will attract investors, you will attract agents, you'll attract landlords, you will attract all sorts of people, like the estate agent from London that I met today. He found me through social media. He just went on, so Fusion Holiday Homes, clicked on my profile, and then reached out to me and said, hey, can we meet up? Can we have a chat? Turns out that he's got few properties, or he looks after a few properties here in Brighton as well, where the landlords are potentially looking to sell. And that will be an off-market deal if they do come to light. So social media, use it effectively, is the best free advertising platform for you that you can use. Make sure that you utilize it. Show people what you're doing. Show your guests what your properties look like. I do that with every property that we take on. I just go in, do a quick walk around, and just do some videos and just push it out there on social media so people can check them out. I think that's pretty much it. There's so much that we can talk about.
We can talk for another 10 hours if we want.
Yes, and what we'll do is we'll have different training events for specific different things at different dates. So yes.
Yeah, so I hope you find it useful, and I hope you got some, tips and ideas on how to improve your business. This is obviously 1 hour and 20 minutes at the moment. We cannot share everything, but as just said, we have created this Facebook group, Rent to Rent in a Box. I put the link in the chat box, where we are going on a daily basis to, add value to you guys. So add tips, sharing stuff and so on. And obviously we would like you guys to join, but also to participate. So if you have got question, ask the question there, but also if you have done something you're proud of, share it. This is a very safe place. Amgad and I are the administrator of that place. We will not tolerate any, misbehavior, anything rude, arrogant, anything. Okay, so it's really, really a safe place to be. So try to join this group sooner than later. I said there is a link in the chat box, and if you guys want to ask more one-to-one question to either me or Amjad or both of us, feel free to scan the QR for me and for Amjad, and feel free to book a free call with us for this week. It's all free, so you can ask any questions. Okay, so that's the end of our presentation. Let's go, Amjad, let's go through the Q&A.
Yes.
So, and by the way, Annie, you need to leave. I hope you find it useful. And as I said, if you want to have other question from us, just book this course, and you will receive a recording, the link of this recorded version very, very soon in the next 1 or 2 hours. So let's go through the Q&A question, Amjad.
Yeah, so I can see a question here from Nisha asking about the 90-day London ruling. I know if you guys are not aware of what the 90-day is, sorry, my dog is just barking. Basically in London, you're only allowed to rent a property on Airbnb or Booking.com as a holiday home for 90-day maximum. So the way to overcome this is you need to think about your busiest 90 days. So obviously the summer will be where you're going to really max it out in terms of profit. So you want to keep your summer period, or the 3 months of summer, for short-term bookings. Okay. After the summer, then you need to change your strategy where you need to focus on contractors or people coming to the city and need accommodation, like a corporate company that needs accommodation for their staff for a period of 3 months plus. So it all depends on how you manage your diary. So you then open your diary for the winter, you set down a 3 months minimum booking period to attract these long bookings. Any booking that's more than 90 days is not affected by the 90-day ruling. Okay, so if it's less than 90 days, then yes, it will fall under the 90-day ruling. But just make sure that you manage your calendar so it's 90 days minimum winter time, and then open it up for 2 or 3 days minimum during the summertime, and just maximize your profits that way.
Excellent. So Nisha or Mehdi, did this answer give you what you need? Okay, in the meantime, there is another question from Liam. What are your tips for lender outreach? First of all, as a generic point, I built 90% of my portfolio through letting agencies. And the reason for that is because if you build one strong relationship with one letting agent, so one person works in that letting agency, then you can leverage all the network behind that letting agent. So in Bristol, when I started in 2014, there were 152 letting agents. I ended up over the years to work mainly with 3 of them, and those 3 were enough to build my large rent-to-rent portfolio. Okay, so if I had to achieve the same amount of property through single landlords, even a landlord with a little bit of portfolio, he would have made me work much harder in building a massively bigger amount of relationship. So that's a generic point, Liam, first of all. So direct to lender or through letting agents, my suggestion is try through letting agency. You will scale up much quicker than if you go directly to letting agent, to lenders. In terms of how to find these lenders, I mentioned 2 examples in the previous slides. So gas engineers and the letters to licensed HMOs. But the key one is, or the another one who is key is talk to everyone. Okay, I don't know if you've got kids and so on. If you do, when you go to school to pick up your kids, talk with all the parents there. And when they ask you, hey, what's your day? Say, well, my day has been amazing. I'm just building my portfolio of property management. I'm really excited about that. You never know who you've got in front of you. Nobody's got written on the forehead, I am a house or property investor. Okay, nobody's got written on the forehead, I own HMOs or service accommodation. And you will find that very likely some of the parents there either are directly interested in your services, or they might have somebody in their network who might benefit from your service. So really talking to everyone is the key one. Go to networking event, but if you are looking for lenders, I would potentially not go to property networking events, because there you find more investors or joint venture partners. I would go to business events. My dad and my mom, they were members of the Rotary Club, for example. My uncle from my wife's side is a member of the Lions. In these places here, you got people with money and who might have some properties, but they don't have the time to manage them. So you will solve them a problem. Okay, so these are a few tips on how to find them. I hope that helped. Again, I could talk for 20 hours, but unfortunately, we don't have all of that time. But I hope that helps a little bit, Liam. And if you want to have more in-depth discussion, feel free to book a call with me and we can further discuss that.
Yeah, I can see another question from Maddie. So does that mean we focus more mostly on direct bookings for more than 90 days? Well, yes and no. Ideally, you want to attract as much direct booking as you can, because you're eliminating the OTA commission. You're saving money there. That doesn't mean that you're not going to rely on the OTA, because the OTA, they spend billions of pounds on marketing, so you still need the OTA. So even for your direct booking, what you can do, for your over 90-day bookings, you can still use the OTA to get them to inquire, and then you can work with the inquiry and convert it to 90 days if you wanted, or you can just let them book through the OTA. In terms of direct booking, that's a whole complete subject. So I'll be more than happy in the future to do another session where I can just specifically talk about direct booking and how you can attract it and how you can convert the bookings to direct bookings. So it's something that I can look at doing on a later event that we do, a later session that Giuseppe and I do.
Excellent. Brilliant. And Liam, thanks for booking a call with me. That's very appreciated. And Christina, well done for joining the rent-to-rent in a box community. That's very, very good. So I highly recommend all of you guys to join this Facebook group. You will find it really beneficial. Any other question? Come on, I can't believe there are only a couple of questions after we have talked for an hour and 20 minutes. Don't be shy. Anything else? No? Okay, so I don't know, Amjad, if you want to add anything else from your side?
No, just thank you all. Thank you all for your time. Like we said, we appreciate that. Yes, they do say these events are free. Actually, you're giving up your time for us. And I hope by giving your time to us, I hope we've added value to you guys. So thank you so much for coming and joining us this evening.
And stayed a full hour and a half. So apologies, we overrun, but we always get excited to add as much value as we can. And so if there are no further questions, we can close this event here. Again, as Amjad said, thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. You will receive a recording link in the next hour and so. Join the Facebook group so that you will also get information when we are going to run other events, because this is going to be at least a monthly theme, if not more. And yeah, and again, if you need any question, you know where to reach out to all of us. In the meantime, Amjad, thank you so much for being with me today. As usual, I loved it. And yeah, good night to everyone. Excellent.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.